In our class, there was a girl named Lily. She was incredibly quiet, almost invisible. You'd find her in the corner of the classroom, head buried in a book, her presence as faint as a whisper. But what people did notice were her clothes. They were always a bit worn, sometimes with small tears meticulously stitched back together. This made her an easy target. Whispers and snickers followed her down the hallways. "Look at her patched-up jeans," someone would say. "Did she get that shirt from a dumpster?" Another would mock. The ringleader of this cruelty was Tiffany, the most popular girl in school. With her designer clothes and perfect hair, she saw Lily as a blight on their otherwise pristine school environment. One day, in the cafeteria, Tiffany and her friends cornered Lily. Tiffany held up her brand new smartphone, its screen glaring. "Hey everyone, look. It's our school's charity case. Should we start a GoFundMe for her wardrobe?" The laughter that erupted was deafening. Lily just stood there, her face pale, her eyes fixed on the floor. She didn't say a word, just clutched her worn backpack and walked away, the jeers echoing behind her. I always felt a pang of guilt watching this. I wasn't one of the bullies, but I wasn't a hero either. I stood by, a silent observer. I wanted to say something, to tell them to stop, but the fear of becoming their next target kept my mouth shut. I'd see Lily after school, walking home alone, and wonder about her life. What was her story? Why did she never fight back? The mystery around her only grew with each passing day. Despite the constant bullying, Lily's academic performance was nothing short of brilliant. She aced every test. Her essays were praised by teachers, and her understanding of complex subjects was unparalleled. She was a silent genius, a stark contrast to Tiffany, who struggled to maintain passing grades despite having expensive tutors. It was a strange paradox. The girl everyone looked down on was the one everyone as parents wanted them to be like, at least academically. This only fueled Tiffany's resentment. During a particularly challenging physics exam, Tiffany was caught trying to copy from Lily's paper. The teacher, Mr. Harrison, was strict and fair. He gave Tiffany a 0 for the test and a stern lecture about academic integrity. Tiffany was furious. She didn't blame herself. She blamed Lily. "It's your fault," she hissed at Lily after class. "If you weren't such a teacher's pet, this wouldn't have happened." Lily just looked at her, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes, before turning and walking away without a word. The incident only made the bullying worse. Tiffany and her crew became more relentless. They'd accidentally trip her in the halls, spill juice on her books, and hide her belongings. Through it all, Lily remained silent. Her resilience was almost unnerving. She never cried, never complained, never showed any sign that their taunts were affecting her. She just kept her head down, focused on her studies, and endured. It was as if she was living in a different world, one where their petty cruelty couldn't touch her. As graduation day approached, the excitement in the school was palpable. Everyone was talking about their plans for the future, the parties they would attend, and the fancy outfits they would wear. I saw Tiffany showing off a stunning designer dress, bragging about how much it cost. Meanwhile, I saw Lily in the library, still wearing her usual faded clothes, studying intently. I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread for her. Graduation was a day of celebration, a day to shine. How would she navigate a day so focused on appearance? Finally, the big day arrived. The auditorium was filled with proud parents and beaming students in their caps and gowns. The ceremony began with the usual speeches from the principal and guest speakers. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. The announcement of the valedictorian. This was the student with the highest academic standing, the one who would deliver the final speech. The principal stepped up to the podium. "This year's valedictorian is a student who has shown exceptional dedication, resilience, and brilliance," he began. A hush fell over the crowd. Everyone assumed it would be one of the well-known top students. Tiffany looked smug, as if she expected a friend of hers to get the honor. "With a perfect GPA and a record of outstanding academic achievement, I am proud to announce this year's valedictorian is Lily's Chun." A collective gasp swept through the auditorium. All heads turned towards the corner where Lily was sitting. She stood up slowly, her face calm and composed. As she walked towards the stage, a man in a sharp, expensive suit stood up from the front row and began to applaud. He looked incredibly proud. The principal smiled and continued, "And I'd also like to acknowledge her father, Mr. David Chun, the CEO of Chun Innovations, and the generous benefactor who funded our new science and technology wing this year. The entire auditorium was stunned into silence. Jaws dropped. Tiffany's face went from smug to utterly horrified. David Chun, the tech mogul, the man whose company was a household name, famous for its cutting-edge technology and philanthropy. That was Lily's father. It was impossible. It didn't make any sense. Lily reached to the podium. She looked out at the sea of shocked faces, her gaze calm and steady. She didn't look at her notes. She spoke from the heart. For the past 4 years, she began, her voice clear and strong, I've been conducting an experiment, a social experiment. She continued, my father and I have always believed that character is not defined by what you have, but by how you treat others when you have nothing. So, I came to this school with a simple premise, to see how people would treat someone who appeared to have less. I wore old clothes, I stayed quiet, and I observed. She paused, and her eyes briefly met Tiffany's. What I learned was disappointing, but not surprising. I learned that kindness is often conditional. I learned that people are quick to judge based on appearances. But I also learned about resilience. I learned that true strength comes from within, not from the approval of others. She then looked towards her father, who was beaming with pride. My father taught me that wealth is a responsibility, not a privilege. It's a tool to create change. That's why he funded the new science wing, and that's why today I am announcing the establishment of the True Character Scholarship. It's a full-ride scholarship to the university of their choice, awarded not to the student with the best grades, but to the one nominated by their peers for showing the most kindness, empathy, and integrity. A wave of murmurs and whispers went through the student body. The weight of her words settled over us. We hadn't just bullied a quiet girl. We had misjudged the person who had the power to change someone's future. Tiffany looked like she was about to be sick. Her face was a mask of regret and humiliation. Lily concluded her speech. Your true worth isn't measured by your clothes or your popularity. It's measured by your heart. As we all go our separate ways, I urge you to remember that. Choose kindness. Always. The auditorium erupted in thunderous applause, a sound far louder and more genuine than the laughter that had once followed her down the halls. As she walked off the stage, she didn't look triumphant or vengeful. She just looked serene. She had proven her point in the most powerful way imaginable. That day, we all learned a valuable lesson. It wasn't about the shocking reveal of her wealth. It was about the revelation of our own character. Lily, the quiet girl in torn clothes, had held up a mirror to us all, and many of us didn't like what we saw. She walked away from that school not just as the valedictorian, but as a silent teacher who had given us the most important lesson of our lives. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that makes you think. See you next time.